Dogman is the latest movie from DreamWorks Animation, but is it worth going to see in a theater or is it just, well, rough? Stick around and I will let you know my thoughts. Welcome to the channel. Hi, my name is Sean Morgan and I love movies, and that includes animated movies, which can sometimes be hit or miss, especially in regard to whether or not they play for adults as well as kids. DreamWorks has had some great success with their films being well loved by all, most notably the original run of Shrek movies and the How to Train Your Dragon series. They, of course, also released The Wild Robot in September of 2024, which is now nominated for an Oscar this year. We will see how that goes. I'm a semi regular DreamWorks head. I like the Shrek films a lot. I like the How to Train Your Dragon movies just fine. I have a generally favorable view of things that they have in their oeuvre, like Trolls or The Boss Baby and those various kind of sequels and spin-offs. Their catalog is so wide that, I won't name every film of theirs I've ever liked, but basically my opinion of DreamWorks is that their base level of quality is pretty good, and they sometimes have a movie breakthrough that is genuinely sort of amazing. I adored The Wild Robot, for example, and I also adored 2022's Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That was kind of a very pleasant surprise. But, because of these recent projects like that, I had decent hopes for Dogman, despite being unfamiliar with the source material. I never read any Dogman books as a kid, nor did I ever partake in any of the, I guess, Captain Underpants books. My understanding is that the two franchises are slightly related. I think they are either in the same universe or one is a spinoff of the other. Forgive me if I don't know all of the lore right away. Dogman is written and directed by Peter Hastings, whose only other directorial feature is 2002's The Country Bears, and that movie is objectively pretty awful, but I have a lot of affinity for it, some nostalgia. And Dogman is luckily much better in terms of objective quality, if you ask me. Dogman is about a cop slash dog duo who get critically wounded in a bombing and who are then sewn together in the hospital in order to create the titular Dogman, who is psychologically mostly dog, but who also possesses a human body with karate skills. It is just as insane as it sounds, I guess. Dogman fights to protect his city in a superhero like fashion, combating his nemesis, Petey the Cat. For as objectively sad, I should say, as the character's origin story is, basically he is a monstrosity comparable to Frankenstein, right? For as sad as that kind of backstory is, this is a movie aimed at kids, so the film breezes past that sadness in comedic fashion to focus on gags right away. The film stars Saturday Night Live's Pete Davidson as Petey the Evil Cat, Lil Rel Howery as the Chief of Police, Isla Fisher as a news reporter and love interest to the police chief, and a few others here and there that, they round out the supporting player base, right? Billy Boyd is a cameraman for the local news station. Sherry O'Terry, another Saturday Night Live alum, plays the city mayor. And Lorraine Newman, yet another Saturday Night Live alum, plays a scientist. You'll find, a lot of notable comedic names pop up for a scene or two just to keep things a little interesting and fresh. And the jokes in Dogman are luckily largely entertaining and pretty good. I had no idea what the source material was like, so I was not really sure what kind of comedy to expect going into the theater. But the sheer amount of clever little bits of dialogue or, visual gags, they're all very welcome throughout the runtime. They were all pretty effective. The film is basically a send up of cop movies and superhero movies, but aimed towards kids. So if that sounds like your vibe, then I expect that you will have a pleasant time here. The police comedy aspects are closer to something like The Naked Gun than they are something like Police Academy, which in my opinion is a good thing. I have nothing against the Police Academy movies. I've seen every single one of them, but The Naked Gun is the superior franchise if we're talking about like funny cops on screen. So I know that people do have pretty strong feelings pretty often about Pete Davidson as a performer. I found him to be pretty entertaining here as Petey the Cat, but much of the movie falls on his shoulders since the titular character, Dogman, does not speak. Let it be known, though, that, if you are one of the people who has this kind of weird, inherent, irrational hatred for Pete Davidson, you will be listening to his voice a lot throughout the runtime of this feature film. I am just saying. He is essentially a co-lead of the movie. Um, and, I'm also very sure, while we're talking about potential gripes with the movie, I am also sure that you could make some sort of case that this is a movie that is like cop propaganda or propaganda, as people usually, call it. Um, that criticism is something that people will do with any and all action movies where any cop character does anything remotely heroic or good, be it Bad Boys, be it Captain America, be it, Dogman. Um, I'm not a fan of much of what the American police stands for on an institutional level, but I also think it would be kind of silly to seriously engage with that ideological framework in regard to a movie called Dogman about this particular subject matter. This is a movie where a telekinetic fish recruits living buildings to join his evil plot to murder a kitten. So while yes, ACAB and all that, I think there's pretty obviously a context for discussing that kind of leftist idea. And while I agree with that leftist idea, I don't think that this film is necessarily the proper venue. So you will not hear anything about that from me beyond just a couple of jokes poking fun at the idea. So this film is one that has a lot of quick and fun jokes. It's got lots of visual humor and it's got a non-zero amount of heart too about, radical optimism, the capacity for anyone to change and be rehabilitated. I don't think it rises to the level of something like the original Shrek or even Shrek 2 or The Wild Robot as far as being iconic animated art, but you could do a lot worse than Dogman, and I don't think it's a film that parents will dread if their kids kind of latch onto it and want to watch it multiple times in a row. Um, so, after all is said and done, where does Dogman rank on my scale of A list, amazing, average, abysmal, or needs to be abolished? Well, like I said, I think this is a solid and funny feature that is lean and does not overstay its welcome. I would gladly check out a sequel if they ever make one, or, a tie in to, I guess, if this is part of the same universe as the whole Captain Underpants thing. I know they made a feature film of that as well. I never saw it. But if it's got the same sort of comedic sensibility, I see no reason why I wouldn't check it out and have a good time. So if they ever team up in the future, maybe I'll check that out. Why not? So I think the film, when all is said and done, would land at a solid average rating. So it would kind of get a nice solid 3 stars out of 5 if we were forced to do a numerical calculation here. A strong 3 with no real big criticisms. It's not going to change your life, but like I said, if you have a kid who latches onto it and wants to watch it over and over again, I think it will be something that you can enjoy multiple times. And I think even if you are an adult who watches it once or twice or thrice or whatever, you will find plenty to laugh at. I saw this movie as part of an experiment where I see as many films as possible with AMC A List in a single year, and I saved $10.99 on this ticket, which was a pretty good deal in my eyes. I may retire the whole A List experiment since AMC has announced that they will be expanding the slots to 4 movies a week this coming summer, I think. Maybe May, I think, was the date that they had said. And filling out 4 slots a week as opposed to 3 sounds kind of insane. It can already kind of be a struggle to find time in my normal life schedule to do 3 a week, so 4 seems even more taxing. So you can let me know in the comments if you want me to continue with the A-list experiment or if you would rather I just hit up Buzzy Movies when they release. My real goal here is just to share my love of movies with like-minded folks. So if you have seen Dogman, did you see Dogman? What did you think of it? Were you a fan of the books, for example? And if so, do you think it was a good adaptation? That's kind of an interesting question I'd like to know because obviously, like I said, I have zero familiarity with the source material. So if this is like a big, like sacrilegious adaptation that gets nothing right, I'd be curious to know why. Um, do you think ACAB does or does not include Dogman? That's another comment that I encourage you to leave below just for the sake of goofs and giggles. So, let me know if you would like to what your response to either of those questions is, or let me know your favorite DreamWorks movie. I was looking into it, and they have even more films than I really realized. You've got your Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon, Boss Baby. I think there was the Teenage Kraken thing they released a few years ago. I did not end up seeing that one in theaters. Little one-offs like that. I heard The Bad Guys is really good, but I never saw that either. Maybe someday I'll do kind of a full retrospective on their thing, but there are quite a few movies that you would need to get through in order to do that. Feel free to also either like this video or subscribe to the channel, or both, or you can do neither of those things, whatever you want. But should you do that, you can keep up to date with my thoughts on new releases as they come out. Until next time, stay safe. Thank you very much for watching. Don't get caught in a bomb and have to have your dog get sewed onto your body. Does not seem to go well. Well, in this particular case, I guess it goes well, but there's definitely a sadness behind the eyes. Thanks. Bye.